What the fuck is up, audience? It's your boy, Matt, doing it alone for a minute while the other members of the triumvirate get into the fucking recording booth. Not that we record in booths. I'm in a basement currently. My dog is here. She's sleeping. It looks comfortable as fuck. I honestly wish I could be sleeping too, but the podcast must be recorded. So that's what's going to happen. Actually, don't even have my Word document pulled up yet. It's been a while since we've had one of these chats. Just you, me, waiting for Zach and Meghan to get in here. I hope you guys have been doing well. Have been going through some struggles. But you know what? The struggles go away at some point. Life gets a little better. You know? So if any of you, any of our Patreon subscribers that get to listen to an After Dark, you know, are struggling, just know that it'll get better at some point. That it may seem like it's going to last forever, but it's not. And, most importantly, the world will always be better with you in it. Don't ever forget that. And don't ever feel like that's the case. Or that's not the case, rather. Because I promise you, the world is a better place with you here. So, you know, chin up, everybody. We'll all get through it together. And that's my inspiring speech for the day, while I wait for my friends to join in. Thanksgiving's coming up. That's something to look forward to. I myself am a fat man, and I love turkey and stuffing and all the fixins that go with Thanksgiving, so, like, that's something to look forward to. They just announced GTA 6, so if you play video games, look forward to that shit. You know, be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. That's not even, I mean, worry a little bit. Worry an appropriate amount, but, like, don't let your life suck. You control that. Make your life awesome. Zach's gonna listen to this in the edit, and he's gonna be like, damn it. Yeah, man, I'm fine. I just had some shit I needed to get off my chest. Life sucks. But it also gets better. Zach's here!
Howdy, howdy. I'm here. Yes, I'm here, and I'm scrambling to do notes because they're not done yet.
I was talking to the audience for a good 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Fun.
Well, because I saw that both you and Meghan were on, and I was like, I'll just jump in a chat, and I'll start recording, and then hopefully Zach will pop in. But, like, I had a nice little heart-to-heart with the audience, so, you know, it's a good time.
Oh, good.
It's not as interesting as that one time where I was, like, alone for 10 minutes, and I was typing notes, and I was just talking to the audience endlessly.
Yeah.
Did that actually make it to an After Dark? Did you keep that whole segment in?
I did not keep all of it. I kept a good chunk of it.
Yeah, because there was a little bit of it where I was actually, like, completely silent.
Yeah, I
would definitely have cut out all the silence, because it was just me typing.
Yeah, and it was just click.
How you feeling, buddy?
And that was not. I mean, I'm okay.
Right. Well, that's good. Okay is better than not.
Like, not in a bad way. I'm just like my right side has still been wonky, and it's been a month at this point. It's like I have an appointment tomorrow.
Your right side's been wonky.
Remember how I thought I had appendicitis?
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And
sorry.
At this point, it's been a month.
Day. Yeah, so appendicitis would have killed you by now.
Yes, absolutely. So I know it's not appendicitis.
So you have a doctor's appointment, though?
Well, so I went to the emergency room after a week of feeling shitty.
Because that was when you thought it might be a hernia, right?
That's when I thought it was appendicitis. After a week of like feeling crappy, I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to the emergency room. So I did. And they were like, it's not appendicitis. And then like 5 days later, I still felt crappy and then like felt bloaty and bubbly in a way that I didn't feel before. So I went back to the ER and the same doctor was just like,
it's not anything.
Go home. It's not anything. Go home. Make an appointment with a physical therapist. You probably have like a weak abdominal wall. And I said, okay. And then it was that, and then that's when I thought it was a hernia. And he's like, it's not a hernia. You're fine. Go home.
Wow, doctors.
And so I made the appointment with the physical... Yeah, doctors, right? Made the appointment with the physical therapist, and the physical therapist was like, I don't know what this guy's on. He just wanted to get you out of his ER as quickly as possible. But your CT scan looks fine. Your blood work looks fine. Like...
Oh, well, then he wasn't on anything.
I'm going to say...
He at least wasn't lying to you.
Yeah, he wasn't lying to me, but they were like... The physical therapist or like the sports medicine doctor was like, take a week of Advil, like
take
3 times a day.
Week of Advil.
See how you feel. And so tomorrow I have an appointment with the same sports doctor to be like,
I've been taking a week of Advil and it has not helped.
Been taking a week of Advil. Like my stomach still feels a little bit wonky sometimes, and like I don't know what to tell you. Like, not to go into too much detail, but like, man, my shits aren't as crisp as I want them to be. And so I'm like,
I'm not shitting in 4K like I used to.
Yeah, I used to shit in 8K, and now I'm at best 1080p.
I feel you.
So like, I was like, all right, whatever. Can I go tomorrow? I'm going to be like, can I go see a GI specialist?
Have the same
I've been
thing that my brother
for
has.
a fucking month.
Diverticulitis.
It's not. Well, actually, it is possible. My mother has
so
it.
it's. I mean, there's a chance.
But that would be feeling on the left side,
right?
Not the
but
right.
like after a certain point, I think it just fucks the whole system up.
Well, because yes, but like I've never felt anything wonky on my left side. It's been the right side the whole time.
You could just have a weird fucking. You could have weird innards.
I could just have IBS.
I mean, you could have that too, or it could be colitis. But
like, more than anything, it's just been like aggravating.
Yeah. Doctors are aggravating
to not have an answer. Well, not only that, but it's like they're like, "Oh, have you been more stressed lately?" Well, like, shit, because I haven't had an answer as to what the fuck's going on.
But also, my tummy hurts.
My tummy hurts, and it's hurt for a month. Exactly.
Yeah, dude, my brother's going through like a very similar thing, but he at least finally got a diagnosis. Which is nice.
That's good.
I don't know what I was going to say. Today was a very stressful day for me.
That's okay. I'm sorry about that. What happened?
Man. So, well, I mean, you got a taste of it in the D&D chat where I was like, I woke up, drove 30 minutes to get to...
Yeah.
So, I wasn't sure that I needed to be present at this site visit, aside from the fact that I'm the director of operations. And I feel like I probably would have been more useful if somebody had asked me a question. Like if someone had been like, so what's the use of this building going to be? And I could have been like, oh, it's going to be a transitional residence for homeless families. And they would have been like, oh, okay, good. I literally just stood around and talked to one of our board members and one of the members of the construction team that, like, I know.
Yeah.
I literally, woke up at 6:30 so that I could get ready to leave at 7. Got ready to leave at 7. Left at like 7:10. Stopped at Dunkin' Donuts to get myself breakfast and a coffee because Matt doesn't function at fucking 7 a.m. without coffee. It's one of the rare times I actually buy coffee because caffeine does nothing but keep me awake and make me feel shitty at the same time. So I bought myself a coffee, drove 30 minutes to get to the site of our new building, and then I was there for 18 minutes. The site visit took all of 18 minutes. I spent the next 12 minutes eating my breakfast in my car. Where I just sat in my car and like very slowly ate my breakfast, listened to like a morning radio show, and I was just like, I'm not in a rush. I don't typically get to work till 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'm gonna take my time, got bored of that by 8:30 and drove the 30 minutes back to Nashua so that I could go to work early, an hour early. And I was like, because I had asked my boss, I was like, is this something that I actually need to attend? Do they really need me there? Because the meeting that we had last week was a meeting with the whole design team. So, like, we're purchasing property, we're outfitting it for our use. There might have been questions about, like, what does security need to look like? What does electrical need to look like? This, that, the other. And those are questions that I felt like I needed to be present to answer if they came up. But really, it was just introduction. So I was like, okay, I'm not mad I came because I got to meet the team that we're working with. But also, like, you know, had anyone had questions, I would have been able to say, like, yeah, this is what we're thinking of for this, that, and the other. Today, it was just like, oh, okay, bye-bye.
Yeah,
like,
right?
like literally,
well,
I shook the hands of the two gentlemen that showed up to the site today. And that was it. Like, they didn't ask me anything. There was nothing that they were even asking the board member or the member of the construction team. Like, they were just wandering through, looking at the site, and then they turned around and left. And I was like, I drove 30 minutes for that? And it, like, again, it wouldn't have been an issue if it had, like, if I had had some relevance, but really the board member and this member of construction could have gone without me and just updated us. I mean, again, you said it in chat that I was there as like a figurehead, but really anyone could have gone and they would have gleaned as much information from that outing as I did.
Yeah.
So it was really just... And then we had a staff meeting today, but because we were in back-to-back-to-back meetings all day, our staff meeting happened at 3 o'clock, and a lot of stuff starts to happen in our building at around like 3 to dinner. So dinner starts at 6. And so anywhere between 3 and 6, we are just getting people who are like, they just got out of work and they want to donate stuff. Dinner's getting dropped off. The dinner volunteers are showing up to like cook. And so we're sitting in a meeting and I'm trying to present my piece of like what I've done in the last month, and the doorbell keeps ringing and like it's typically my job to run down and get the doorbell just because I'm the least busy of other people.
But now you're not busy.
Right, like I'm in the middle of talking and it's like the doorbell has rung 5 times since I started speaking. And, you know, my boss had told us that she wanted it to be a quick meeting. And so, like, people are making jokes or just trying to, like, make it an interesting meeting, trying to, like... They're just making light. They're, you know, conversating, as you would in a meeting. And this was... I broke character, because in meetings I'm typically very professional, but... my boss... like, we're in the middle of speaking about, or, like, somebody's making a joke about something, and my boss just goes, okay, you can go now, like, talking to another member of staff. And I was like, yeah, guys, stop having fun. And every, just, like, eyes wide looked at me like, how desperately are you trying to die today? And I was just like, oh, fuck. I should not have done that. And then the other thing that made it stressful is, so we get these packages from Amazon. Hi, Meghan. So we get these packages from Amazon that just come in like these big, like, sort of tarp material bins. And we had 4 of them left over from last week, and we got another 4 of them today. And we have people coming to the building tomorrow that have been to the building 15 times. And my boss was like, can we tidy up the front entryway? And I was like, my sister in Christ, my workday is about to be over. Where in that do you think I'll have time to do this? And so I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to clean it up. Like, what's the point? And then somebody else on staff was like, just have, your college students do it because they need the credit and you need them to do something. And I was like, fucking, yeah, but it's also a pain in my ass that I now have to come to work early tomorrow to make sure that hallway's clean so that these people that have been to our building 15 times know that we keep the building clean. I was like, we're not giving tours to new people. We are like, these are people that have seen us when we have stacks of donations in our front entryway. I was like, also, if people want to be upset that the front entryway looks like that, we know where to put donations. Don't put them in the front entryway. We have a whole room called the donation room for a reason. So anyways, it was a stressful day. I'm excited that it's over and that I get to talk to you, silly gooses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan, how's stuff going?
Silly gooses. Fine. I made a Pokemon
Fuck yeah,
terrarium
dude.
today.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like what I do is for the children.
Yes.
Obviously.
For the children.
For the children, obviously.
Not for
so
your
you
own
take like
personal
a clear
enjoyment
no, 1,000% no. So I hate it here. So you take like a clear Christmas ornament that like breaks in half essentially.
Yeah,
I mean it comes in half because you're meant to put like
You guys know what she's fucking talking about.
Like,
Stop
essentially,
being weird.
I know, yeah, they know. And so, like, you put a piece of cardboard in there and, like, cover it with shit, and it looks like a little, like, area, like the forest that they're in. And then I bought what was supposed to be 48, like, Pokemon, off-brand Pokemon cake toppers, figurines. And I had to go through them with my friend at work and put together, like, group them into S-tier Pokemon, which looked like the Pokemon. Mid-tier Pokemon, where there was something slightly off about them, but, like, people got the point. And the rejects. Like...
These weren't even close.
Like... Charizard has never been the color of dirt.
Until today.
And his... Until today. Like, Jolteon, they couldn't even bother... Like, Jolteon had one leg. Jolteon had one big middle leg. And I was like, that's not what you look like. Ninetales... I don't know what was happening. Why was she green? But they got Cloyster right. For some reason, Cloyster looked absolutely fine. They're like, we know what a vagina looks like. We know how to make Cloyster. So that was pretty much my day. Oh, and then someone called. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I just need to write my stories. Like, what do you want? And so they were just like, hello, 911, is this Dragget Library? And I was like, yes, how can I help you today? And they were like, it took them forever to, like, tell me what they wanted. They like, for some reason, kept pussyfooting around it. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be really juicy. Like, maybe they're embarrassed. And I'm like, I'm going to get onto, like, the dark web. I'm going to have to, like, download a Tor browser. Like, we're going to have to get into some shit here. And they were like, I want information on female firefighters from before 2012. And I was like, that's it? That's all you want? Why can't you Google it? And they're like, I haven't had the time. And I was like, so you have the time to go through our... No, she had the time to pick up the phone. She was in her house.
Sorry. I forgot that she called. I thought this was a person who came in person to ask for this.
No, she was just like, hello, and I was just like, she was like, how did you find this information? And I was like, Google. And she's like, slow down, you're going too fast. I'm like, I've said one step.
One word with 2 syllables.
She's like, I'm using pen and paper. It takes me a while
you have
to
the
write.
arthritis?
Arthritis.
I was like, Google. And she was like, how do you spell it? And I was like, I'm painting I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to have this conversation anymore.
I did something really fun, and I'm happy that I did it, and I told you guys about it. But I did I had an AI record the voicemail for my company. I mean, it did.
But it didn't work.
It's just when I tried to convert it to a WAV file so that it sounded crisper, it did not sound crisper. And then I just used the original MP3 file, and it was okay-ish. Like, so it works.
Did you use
No,
like
it was,
ChatGPT? What did you use?
I think it was called Elvin Labs. Or 11.
Okay.
11
well, that
Labs.
sounds fake, so...
Speech synthesis.
It all sounds fake.
Speech synthesis. Missy, don't come down here.
I hear you.
If you're just going to start a ruckus. Miss Ziti was sleeping. You don't get to just come and invade her space and then be angry that she's here. She precedes you.
Okay.
Missy's frustrated.
Says you.
Missy came down and she's frustrated that she's here.
Yeah.
But she brought herself here.
What?
Same.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm frustrated that I bring myself to work every day, but like...
You gotta pay the
Sister, I
bills,
feel
though.
you.
Here we are.
So anyways, yeah, it was really cool to like go through the process
I still
of
don't have it
getting
today,
an
so keep
AI to
going.
write a script or to like read a script, and then I was just tweaking like spelling so that it pronounced things correctly. It was just an interesting thing to do.
Uh-huh. Alright, I've found our today.
Here today.
Oh.
Yeah, I found the today, so we can
we have an
start
order?
whenever.
Mine's like a really dark story, so
Mine's very dumb.
Why?
I took Megan's place.
What?
And did
Okay,
a dark
that's
story. Mine's also, I mean, it's
I think
not
it's-
super long.
Why is everyone taking my shit? Why is everyone
I'm
taking my
not taking
stuff?
your stuff.
Why is everyone taking your steez?
I'm not in the Japanese theater of
Yeah.
World War II.
Okay, I don't always
You do. You're the only
that.
one that's allowed.
Tonight we're in the 1500s
hell yeah,
in Japan.
Hell yeah.
I just feel like I'm being
Let me pull up
typecast.
our notes from last week, and I can tell you what our last week looked like. Last week was Zach, then Megan, then me.
Have I
I
gone
don't
first
think
for a while?
You haven't.
I don't think I have.
No, Megan, you go first.
Yeah,
Why don't
I
we
don't
do
think I
Megan,
have, so
then me,
I
then
will
Zach,
go first.
just so that we can like have a darkness sandwich in the center. It's like a reverse Oreo.
That sounds good.
Wait, so what are we
It's
doing?
gonna be
Delicious.
Megan first,
Me.
then me, and then you,
Yep.
so that we can end on a dumb one.
I'll take up the okay. Fuck yeah, okay.
Order for tonight is Megan, followed by Zach, followed by me, followed by me, then Zach. Zach is the caboose.
I'm getting tea from my friend about something, so.
Tea?
Okay. Yeah, I
Dude, me
love
too.
drama so much. I love it. Like, nothing gives me greater, like, joy in life. Like, just the will
Is
to
there-
keep living.
Any chance on God's earth that I can just run and pee quick? I should have done it before
Absolutely
now,
not.
but I was busy.
I can't believe you.
I can't believe
I can't believe
this.
you've done this.
I
All right, I'll be back.
cannot believe you've done this. Go. Leave.
Okay, bye. You stay right there. I'll be right back.
Excuse me.
You can get the heck out of here.
You just hear the commentary as you like slowly leaves the room.
I know, it's the best part. It's just like random things in the background of like listening to him just fucking do whatever.
Minor explosions.
Yeah, right? It's a couple of saw noises, a taking off plane, a small bomb, you know, the normal cartoon shit.
It's like, didn't your basement just get redone? Like, what's happening down there?
Right? Also, if he's gonna go pee, I might grab myself a couple of cookies.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck
I'll just be here.
Okay. Sing the audience a song. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. So today I was like looking up the population of South Dakota. Don't ask me why. I was just curious what they contribute to this great nation. And it's not a lot, to be honest. Like they have just shy of like 900,000 people.
Go to sleep.
And I just don't think that's enough for them to have like any say in any voting body, because what they do is always wrong, because mostly they vote for fracking and corn. I think they're really keeping us on daylight savings time. They're holding us back as a nation. South Dakota.
That's fair.
Yeah, I was telling our listeners about South Dakota. Yeah, I was just here alone talking about South Dakota.
Can I tell you about a crazy thing that is going on in the bathroom? Yeah, so,
Your bathroom?
Okay. The way that our house is set up is that our basement has, like, the makings of an in-law apartment. Where, like, it has a shower in the bathroom.
Yes.
And if we wanted to, we can convert the room that I'm in into, like, a bedroom and living space.
Why don't you do that?
Well, because we didn't have anyone to move in. Like, we did that when my ex lived here. But we have no need to now. My dad and I both use it as an office / my gaming space. So, anyways, there's a shower in the bathroom in the basement. And I don't know what the fuck was happening, but my dad has, like, a light hanging in, like, such a way that it looks like he was interrogating the shower curtain.
Yeah.
What did I just walk into?
Tell me what you know.
It's literally just like, so it's just this big spotlight that is hanging and pointing in the direction of the shower. But, like, there's nothing of note.
It's like, tell me what you... Well, I mean, shower curtains notoriously know a lot of things.
Just like your barber.
They see everything.
They have a lot of secrets. Don't get it wrong. They may look transparent, but they actually hold a lot of secrets.
But anyways, I just wanted to say that it looks like such a weird scene in the bathroom down here, because it just looks like my dad was shining a light for no reason on a shower curtain. That Classic Roger. That did nothing wrong.
Classic Raj.
Truth be told, it is Classic Roger, because he'll do things, and we'll all just sort of be sitting there staring at him, going like, "What the fuck is this?" So, anyways, feel free to like count us in and.
You guys ready?
Get us started.
Okay.
This is an After Dark that I might have to listen to because Meghan had a whole diatribe about South Dakota and how they're holding us back. So.
Yeah, I did. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Today in history in 1851, Harper and Brothers published Herman Melville's masterpiece, allegedly, Moby Dick.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. My name is Zachary, and I'm going to do something I never, ever do tonight. And that's follow up on a story I said I'd talk about in a previous episode.
Wow, that's crazy. My name is Meghan, and tonight I'm not telling a depressing story. So don't pigeonhole me into, oh, Meghan's going to tell a story. It's going to be so sad.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned the man who made the first ever Xbox also revived an ancient Egyptian recipe for sourdough bread.
Yum.
I want to hear more about this
I have
bread.
to credit Steve with this one, because Steve and I will just send, like...
Fuck yes,
Steve and I will just send memes to each other in the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
And
As
so
you
he
should.
sent me this video where a girl was talking about how the guy who made the first Xbox is also like an Egyptologist, and he was on an excavation and discovered like an ancient recipe for sourdough bread, and so he made it. And then she made some equivalency between like the logo of the Xbox and how it looks like most sourdough breads do. And she was like, "This man just loves sourdough bread." And
I would never even thought about that, but you're
yeah,
right.
and so so that was kind of a cool thing. His name is Seamus Blackley, if you're interested in looking him up further. But yeah, he created the first Xbox, and he also revived thousands of years dead sourdough bread recipe.
That's pretty
I didn't
cool.
even look up to see whether or not he thought it was good. I was just like, I just looked it up to fact check to make sure that was true, but like I really should have looked up to see whether or not he thought it was a good recipe or not. So anyways, that happened.
That's it.
That
I love
happened.
that. That's so fun. Like, it's so
Yeah,
dumb,
I mean,
but I love it.
it's
like,
dumb and
it-
interesting.
You're right. The Xbox logo
It
does
does look like a sourdough
how you
bread.
slice a fucking sourdough bread. Yeah.
It does look like a sourdough bread. Love a
Sourdough
good
is
sourdough.
a solid bread choice.
Yeah, now I want
Yeah.
some.
Me too. I have cookies though.
That's
I was
fair.
robbed of my ability to have toast.
I have
this
baklava.
evening. I was gonna make myself. I was gonna make myself some eggs and toast.
Ooh, eggs and
Eggs
toasty.
and toast.
Sounds
I was
delicious.
planning on poaching the eggs and having poached eggs on toast, but somebody
That's
ate
a
all the bread
thing.
and
Oh.
Okay,
didn't
rude.
bother to replenish our bread supply. So then I'm complaining about the fact that I don't have any bread to eat my poached eggs on. And everyone's like, well,
Yeah.
you could take some bread out of the freezer. And I was like, I wasn't the one who did it in the first place. I'm going to fight the system.
Yeah, I get that.
So, but anyways, we have a podcast to record, and we're going to start right now. Our strikes have been reset to 0, and our fake game of rock, paper, scissors, that's entirely illusionary, has been played, and our order for tonight, decided by the stars, is Meghan, and then I'm going to go. And then Zach is going to bring up the rear. The caboose! So Meghan,
The caboose.
whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. So the name of my story tonight is called Yasu. Okay, how did you get to Japan though?
Okay.
And that will make more sense.
As your stories
Later.
so often do, I'm assuming that will make more sense later.
So I'm assuming that you all thought I was done with Japan, but here I am to tell you
Why
not
would
today.
anyone assume that? of you?
I have no comment. So if you're hoping for me to tell you that Japan is like not really an old country and company, they're a company now. I'm here to tell you that they are very, very old. And like we have a lot to get through is what I'm saying. So tonight, obviously, I'm going to be talking about Japan, and not just like a Japanese person or like the country in general, rather something that just like happened in it. So this is a story of a man named Yasuke, and he's rumored to have been born in Mozambique and brought to Japan, where he became a samurai. And
Just like
this is
Tom
sort
Cruise
of
in that
one of
one
the
movie.
only... Just like Tom Cruise in that one movie. So this is like one of the only instances that we have, you know, an okay amount of evidence of a black man becoming a samurai in Japan. There are few documents that survive containing mentions of Yasuke, but he appears to be the oldest African to appear in the Japanese historical record, and his stint in Japan was very short, just about 3 years, from 1579 to 1582. And he was thought to be brought over by Jesuit missionaries. It's not clear whether he was a slave or a follower of the mission, and also his name was not originally Yasuke. That's a name that was given to him by the daimyo Oda Nobunaga. He is one of the 3 great unifiers of Japan. But what we do know for sure is that in 1579, Yasuke arrived in Japan in the service of the Jesuit missionary Alessandro Valignano. I fucking hate his last name. Vagina. Alessandro Vagina, that's his name. That's what we're going with. I'm so sorry, Steve. I know that you told me that I could just look these things up online before, but...
No, here's
like your
here's what's
right
wild is that, like, Steve's gonna be like, this is how you actually pronounce it, but vagina also works. Steve's just so supportive.
I mean, he truly is. Let's see. Hold on. Here's pronunciation. It's gonna be like how to pronounce. No, it doesn't give me a short YouTube video.
I'm not
into it.
A few weeks ago, Zach was telling a story, and he was like, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing any of this right. And I was like, the audience won't care as long as you say it with confidence. And then he went into every pronunciation with confidence. So, like, you could just proclaim this man's last name, and there's a 80% chance you're wrong, but at least you were confident about it.
His last name's now Vagina. Deal with it.
Alessandro Vagina. And so that was his name. He was Italian, obviously. In 1581, Alessandro met with Oda Nobunaga, who was considered to be the most powerful man in Japan because he met with Nobunaga because he wanted the Jesuit mission to succeed in the country. And he brought Yasuke with him, and the Japanese were curious. Most of them had never seen a dark-skinned person in their lives, and wherever Yasuke went, there were crowds. Not just because of his skin color, but, like, he was so much taller than the average Japanese person. He was over 6 feet tall and built.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's no different than how a Japanese, like, crowd would react to a 6-foot person now.
Today.
Yeah.
I think if you're over 6 feet to any capacity, the Japanese still, at least from sources I've seen, still kind of look at that like, damn, he's tall.
They're like, holy shit, you're so tall. I mean, also, like, if I see someone who's over 6 feet tall in America, like, it's a little bit more common, but I'm still like, Jesus Christ, like...
Yeah.
How is the weather up there? So, like I said, wherever he went, there were crowds, and rumors of him spread throughout Kyoto before the party arrived. Like, before he got to towns, people were just like, yo, that tall guy, he's coming.
He's coming.
And, he's coming. And because these rumors were preceding him, crowds exceeding 1,000 people would flock to where he was staying, which, not great, but also they're like, bring the tall man out. Bring him. The missionaries that Yasuke was traveling with were scared that the building they were staying in would be destroyed, and some of the Japanese people who were in the crowd were crushed to death and injured in their enthusiasm.
Imagine wanting to, like...
about seeing this man.
Go see a person and dying because of that.
Like, just a guy.
Just a dude.
Not even Post Malone.
Not even Post Malone. Is Post Malone, like, the pinnacle for you?
It's
is
not
that the
even...
guy that you would get crushed seeing?
It was, like, the only guy I could think of.
It's wild
At
that your
the
brain
moment.
went to Post Malone.
I don't
Considering
know. I
that,
just was
like,
just like, oh
the
yeah,
love
people
of your
would.
life is Ronald Reagan, and we all know it.
Oh God.
You're right. I'm sure people got absolutely crushed by Ronald. No,
Yeah.
wait, for Ronald Reagan. Both are applicable. So they're crushed to death, and the upheaval died down when Nobunaga sent in his troops. Though he was just like, "Listen, I don't know what's happening, but you need to bring me whatever is causing the ruckus." Like, Nobunaga wanted to know the identity of the man who had caused people to, like, absolutely lose their minds. And so he ordered his men...
Sorry, that's just my favorite line
ruckus?
from The Breakfast Club. There's, like, a whole scene where it's
well,
like, I heard
that's
a
what he
ruckus.
said. He was...
And one of the characters goes, can you describe this ruckus?
This
ruckus? Yeah, and people were like, it's this guy, and they brought it to him. They brought this man to Nobunaga and was just like, this is the guy responsible for the ruckus. He hasn't done anything.
He's just existing, but everyone's freaking out about it.
Everyone's absolutely losing their minds. So at this point, the Japanese records describe Yasuke as having the blackness of a bull and a healthy and fine physique. He also has the strength of 10 men. 10 small men, I suppose.
I want to say, like, men back then, what did they have to lift? Because we've heard,
literally everything.
But we've heard of a lot of people that had the strength of 10 men, and it's just like, how strong were the men back then, truly?
I don't know.
What are we comparing it to?
Yeah, how many?
I literally have no idea.
What can 10 men lift?
What is? Are we talking about 10 child-sized men?
Were they child-sized men?
Because
I mean, they must have been compared to this.
I don't know.
This gentleman. If his presence alone was enough to get people crushed in the streets just for taking a peek at him.
Okay, but like I also feel like there's this whole thing where it's like this man is described as larger than life because like that's kind of just how it gets.
Oh, so you think this is sort of like a Paul Bunyan-esque, like
yeah,
this is just
like,
it just becomes
like,
a part of his legend.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I mean, like you're also talking about this person who's like out of place in this world.
Yeah.
That's
and,
true.
I mean, it's probably a lot of like word of mouth too, where it's just like he's a giant and he's
they're like, yo, I saw this guy
ripped and he can.
I saw this man like absolutely
he can rip
lift
a man in half with his bare hands.
So it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely one of those things where it's like, yeah, probably some of the stuff that is said about him is true. Like, he's probably bigger than other people, but like, yeah, I feel like it's like also like when we were talking about like Maximinius Thrax.
Yeah.
Where like they were like, oh yeah, he could wear his wife's bracelet as a thumb ring. Like, it was, you know.
Yeah. Well,
okay. So it's just.
It gets blown out of proportion.
It's just one of those things that everyone says about a person that's bigger than they are.
That's true. It's flattering, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks. I am as strong as 10 men. I don't know. Listen, as someone who relies on like people see me and they're not mean to me because I look mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes like your best defense is an assumption.
True.
So like, if people aren't going to mess with you because they think like
have the strength
you
of 10 men,
are as strong as 10 men,
yeah, you
that's
might as well use that
like,
to your advantage.
You ought to, yeah, for sure. Okay, we've talked about this long enough.
So, besides like being that strong, Nobunaga also didn't believe anyone could actually be this black. Like, he thought it was ink. And demanded that he see water put on Yasuke, which obviously didn't fucking work. And after that, he was just like, all right, didn't work. So that's who you are. And then Nobunaga is just like, I like you, Yasuke. And he asked Alessandro to release him from whatever service he had to the Jesuits. And, like, asked Yasuke, like, if he wanted to serve him. And Yasuke apparently said yes. And so Nobunaga made the man a retainer. And he received a stipend, a dagger, and a house. So Yasuke got a great deal.
In my life.
Yeah, he was just like, here's a stipend, a dagger, and a house, and here's my sword, because he also carried Nobunaga's sword. And he also, and at this point, like, Yasuke was learning Japanese, and Nobunaga gave him free reign around Kyoto, protected him, and speculated that, and some people speculated that Nobunaga would make Yasuke a lord, which was crazy. Like, this guy
Simply
was unknown, and Nobunaga was like, it was like unheard of.
Hey, you want to be a lord? Like, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, it didn't really make up for the whole, like, are you covered in ink or is that just you thing? But, like, we're getting there.
I just love that the qualifications
the
for
next
that.
time-
Like, so presumably there were lords before Yasuke came on the scene. And they were like, I had to go through all these steps to become a lord. And then they're looking at this guy who just waltzed in, and they're hearing rumors that he might become a lord. And it's like, all he is tall.
He's just a big
It's
dude.
just a big dude. There's... What?
When was the qualification only big?
Right. I would have been on stilts. I would have been stilts a
I
week
would have
ago.
gotten so fucking fat for this.
Dude,
I would have eaten so much more food.
so
Yeah.
you joke, but there were times when I was in China where I just ended up on the front page of the newspaper, not because I had done anything, but because I was sitting there and I was white. Like, there were times when people, like, the other Chinese teachers would come up to me and be like, oh, so you went to that conference. You're on the front page. And it's like, I was literally just sitting there
I was having lunch.
disassociating. Yeah, I didn't do anything. So, like, I get where Yasuke's coming from. So then the next time Yasuke appears in the historical records is around 1582, as he was accompanying Nobunaga on a victory tour after absolutely annihilating one of Nobunaga's arch enemies. And in the same year, Nobunaga was betrayed and attacked by one of his senior vassals, and it resulted in his death. Yasuke was injured and eventually sent to Jesuit missionaries to be taken care of. It is certain that he didn't die, but it is not clear what happened to him after this. Obviously, there are rumors. It's hard to be a 6-foot-tall black man in 1500s Japan without people noticing you. So in, like, you know, it's hard to blend in. So in 1584, there's a battle, and it's reported a black man was seen operating 2 cannons. So people are like,
At the
is that
same
Yasuke? Two cannons at the same time. Only a man with the strength
Only
of
a
10
man
men
with the
can do
strength
that,
of
so.
10 men.
Yeah. So then in 1604, there was a painting done that depicts another dark-skinned man in the presence of noble samurai. Then there's an ink stone box made in the 1590s that depicts a black man wearing high-class clothing, as he doesn't appear to be, like, subservient to anyone else in the tableau. And overall, we don't know if any of these instances actually depict Yasuke, but his presence in Japan and the position he came to occupy is one that is pretty unusual for really any foreigner at the time in Japan. This is right before Japan closes itself off to the rest of the world for 3 centuries of isolation during the shogunate. So the fact that, like, anyone who is not Japanese is sort of like making a name for themselves within the hierarchy of Japan is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But Anyway, so that was my story. I thought it was cool because, like, you really don't hear about foreigners becoming samurai.
Except for that one Tom Cruise.
Other than Tom Cruise.
We keep going back to that. I don't know if that's historically accurate, is it?
I mean, there are some things that I think were conflated, obviously, for...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, white guy becomes
I'm fairly
samurai.
certain that it's based on, at least partially based on a true story. But I could be wrong. This will be me finding out that Tom Cruise lied about the whole thing. Megan's looking it up right now.
White guy becomes... I'm looking it up. Is it this guy?
Wait, hang on.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I guess it was... No, that's not true. Anyway, I'll
Was
keep
The Last
looking.
Samurai based on true events? The movie chronicles a real-life Japanese rebellion from the 19th century, but fictionalizes several historical events and people.
Was the Battle of Shimonoseki?
I don't know. The Last Samurai's timeline
Anyway,
is
tell your
mostly
story. I'm
accurate.
gonna keep
This
looking.
has to happen now.
I gotta know.
The Last Samurai.
According to historians, the costumes and overall production is spot on. What the fuck?
Oh, that's good.
Maybe I'll tell this story in a future podcast episode. Yeah, I know.
How
I'd be
rude of
taking
you.
your shtick. And I'm doing it again right now. Here's the deal, guys, audience, listeners, friends, compatriots, if we could call you that. Comrade,
why not?
if you want to go that far. Or if you're from Russia. We recorded once in October. We goofed it up schedule-wise when it came to October recordings. And so, therefore, I feel robbed of having been able to tell some spooky stories. And so today, I'm going to do a spooky story. I had a stroke just then. I'm fine now. I'm better. So today, I'm doing a spooky story because you can't stop me and neither can my co-hosts. So this story takes place in Valeska, Iowa. And...
the great spooky place of
the
Iowa.
great spooky...
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, it has so much corn.
Yes, but it is also not the site of the Children of the Corn story. Although it is possible that corn children exist in Iowa. Corn children.
Corn children.
The children of the corn.
Made
A corn
I've never been to
stalks.
Iowa.
So anyways, it's Valeska... Guys, my brain not working. Valeska, Iowa. The night is June 9th. The year of our Lord is 1912. This story involves a gentleman by the name of Josiah Moore, as well as his wife Sarah, their 4 children Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 girls that were staying the night with them, Lena Stillinger and Ina Stillinger. Josiah was a prominent town businessman, and he was also heavily involved in his local Presbyterian church. And on the night in question, the Moore family, along with their young guests, had been attending a church function until about 10 p.m., and after the church function, they went home. On that night, a little after midnight, an intruder broke into the house and brutally murdered everybody inside.
Oh
no! So the neighbors became suspicious when they didn't see the family engaging in their morning routines the next day. So a neighbor walked over and let their chickens out to, begin grazing. They tried to open the doors, but the doors were locked. They tried knocking on the door. They tried calling the house. No response. And so they reached out to Josiah's brother, And he came over. He tried the same things, knocking on the door, phoning the family, and unfortunately was unsuccessful in reaching anybody. They eventually called the town marshal, who came in and, did all the same things, knocked on the door, tried to hoot and holler, but he eventually broke into the house and discovered the gruesome scene. And when he emerged from the house, he said to someone else who was there at the time that there had been a person murdered in every bed in the house.
Jeez.
Neighbors had not heard any cries for help in the night, and none of the bodies looked to have any defensive wounds except for Lena Stillinger, who had been found, quote, lying crossways on the bed, which just meant that, she had tried to escape. But other than that, everyone else, they assume, had been asleep through their murder. So I guess that's, small miracles. Especially when you consider how young everyone in this story is. So like the six victims, or 6 of the victims are children. So like it's really kind of good to know that they didn't
nerds,
wake up, except for one of them.
That's true.
But yeah, I said I did describe it as a particularly brutal or gruesome scene because while I was doing research on this story, they said that Josiah's face had been bludgeoned so completely that they weren't even able to find his eyes.
Oh, jeez.
And I did say bludgeoned because despite the fact that the murder weapon was an axe, the sharp edge of the axe was not used on anyone in the building except for Sarah. All of the rest of the murders were committed with the blunt edge of the axe. So, based on like blood patterns, the killer started in the parents' bedroom, killed Josiah, and he was swinging, he or she, I mean they assume that it's a male, but the murderer had swung the axe with such ferocity that there were cuts in the ceiling. So like him swinging that high up. So he kills Josiah, then he kills Sarah, then he goes to their children's room and kills all their children. Then he goes back to Josiah and Sarah's room to continue bludgeoning Josiah. Then he goes to the Stillinger girls' room and kills them.
Is he just like a juggernaut? Like, Jesus.
And they say that, like, Josiah got wailed on something fierce. But the other...
If I was in Criminal Minds, it would be like the victim would be the assailant.
Yeah. I mean...
Well, so
maybe it's because I've just been playing more Fallout 4. All my brain is thinking of is hacking and whacking and smacking, chopping at meat. Like,
they say that they found 2 cigarettes in the attic. So all signs point to this person had just been in their attic laying in wait for them to come home from a church function.
Never mind.
The axe that he had used had been one that he found in their backyard. But what made this scene a little bit more weird is...
it wasn't weird
I mean, no,
already?
it was super weird. But the axe was left out in plain sight. It was leaned up against a wall. And next to it was a 4-pound slab of bacon that served no purpose, truthfully. All of the drawers in the house had been rifled through for articles of clothing that were used to cover the mirrors. So, like a kitchen apron, used to cover the mirrors in the house, and then there was I can't remember what article of clothing was used to cover the sort of like the doorway window, to the entrance of the house. The window was covered, so nobody could see.
Interesting.
But along with that, there was also an uneaten plate of breakfast in the kitchen, and next to the uneaten plate of breakfast was a bloody bowl of water. And then, as I mentioned, upon further, exploration of the house, they did find 2 cigarettes in the attic. But there's no... This was never solved. This is an unsolved murder.
Okay.
I
mean, what year was this
again? It was 1912.
Okay, yeah, forensics ain't that great.
What do you mean not that great?
Doesn't exist
Does it
yet.
exist? You got one guy called Gumshoe Jim Bop, and he comes in, and he's just like,
I don't know who...
They're dead.
I don't know who did these
right.
murders.
It might have
Pack
been...
it in, boys.
Jimmy
It
Two
could have been
Shoes.
Jimmy Two Shoes. So essentially, they do go through the process of trying to find... they go through the process of trying to find someone who killed this family. And they start with all the, transients that had been wandering through town at the time. It's always somebody who's just passing by. But the 3 most likely candidates in this murder end up being a gentleman, a reverend by the name of George Kelly. Yeah.
A reverend?
A man of God.
A man of God?
That makes
There's
sense.
There's also a gentleman gentleman by the name of William Mansfield. And then other research has led to a guy named Paul Miller. Or Mueller, I think, is how that's...
Oh, okay.
So the...
Man named Manderson.
A man named what?
That's what that sounds like. Just like, you just said the most generic man's name ever. They're
that
like,
guy,
that
Paul
guy.
Miller. Paul Blart Malkoff.
Yeah, that's a generic name. Paul Blart Malkoff.
So George...
Paul Blart Mall
George
murderer.
Kelly was...
Mall murderer.
George Kelly was
George
a
Kelly
reverend.
was.
And he had hitched a ride on a train the day immediately after the murder, so the 10th. And while he was on the train, he was talking to another passenger of the train about 8 souls who had died in Villisca. And he had said that he had been praying for their souls. And that got people's attention. However, the problem is that he had, a long history and a well-documented history of mental health issues.
Okay.
So when he got arrested and tried for the murders, the people on the jury were like, we're not sure that this guy could actually kill people because he's a little bit simple. And so he ends up getting acquitted of that crime twice. They charge him 2 separate times, and he gets the case gets dismissed.
I don't think we can arrest this guy. All right, let him go. But wait,
what if we arrest this guy? Yeah. The first time it got acquitted, and then the second time the first time there was a hung jury, and so they retried him because the law states that you can do that. And then the second time he was acquitted of the crime. The other man, William Mansfield, was the target of an investigator by the name of James... Can you calm down back there? Jesus. Target of a man named James Newton Wilkerson. And
what a
and
name.
this investigator had thought that William Mansfield was responsible for a stretch of murders, but Mansfield had an alibi for a number of them that he was accused of. And this process went on so long with this investigator that Mansfield ended up suing Wilkerson for slander, and he won like $2,200. Third person, yeah, back then. Imagine what it is in 2020 money.
I know.
A lot.
Oh God, we can't even do the math. It's incalculable.
But then the last person, he's most likely, but was never tried. I think he ended up getting arrested for different murders. But Paul Mueller, he was an immigrant that came from Germany, and he used to travel by train. So he would jump from train to train.
Okay.
But he was essentially a serial killer. He would travel from town to town, and his
taking trains, murdering people. Got it.
Trains, murdering people. His MO was using the blunt side of an axe. He would cover the bodies with sheets so that their blood spatter wouldn't go everywhere, and he would also cover mirrors and windows.
Just like Dexter.
But
I mean, that sounds like
it does sound like the guy. But he would also
it
lock
sounds
the doors
like
upon
the guy.
Exiting. He would leave the murder weapon out in plain sight. But in my research, I did not see anything where he confessed to the murders, and I'm not sure. I don't know if. Like, he's definitely responsible for other murders in the surrounding areas, and his MO is, like, he would attack towns that were close to the train, and as I said, Reverend George Kelly had left town via train, so, like, this was close to a train.
Yeah.
So, Paul Miller is pretty much the closest they have to a
suspect.
He's the closest to a real deal suspect in this case. But I mean, as of now, 2023, no one's officially been, charged. Like, no one was ever officially charged for that crime and brought to justice for this specific set of moitas.
Huh.
So.
Well, I guess the murderer walks free 100 fucking years later.
Story.
It was 1912. Of course he was always going to walk
of our
free.
Lord, 1912. And we don't have DNA machines.
They couldn't even see a fucking iceberg
for
the
to
Titanic.
Be fair,
the
binoculars were locked in a chest. In case anybody didn't know that, today you learned that the reason that the Titanic did not see the iceberg in time to do anything about it is because the binoculars that they would have used for such a task were locked in the captain's lockbox, and nobody got them out.
Well, that's dumb.
Even though they were driving at night.
We'll keep those safe. Out of everyone's way.
So.
We don't want people to trip
but I wanted
them.
to tell a spooky story because I felt like I got robbed by our schedules.
Fair enough.
You're like, Roanoke wasn't
spooky. And
it was just a guy
with bad
planning.
Left for 3 years and was like, I wonder if my Neopets are okay. Know what I mean?
Pretty
much. What better to, scare the audience?
My Neopets, my family.
What better way to scare the audience than to tell them about, 6 children and 2 parents that got brutally murdered by an axe?
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to take away and not talk about murder. I'm going to talk about something else dumb instead. How's that sound?
That sounds great. The audience will probably like that as like a breath of fresh air as well.
Yeah, breath of fresh air. Well, I did say in my intro that I'm going to cover something that I previously said, hey, I should talk about this, because, every now and then I should be true to my word. Just every now and then, not all the time. Every so often.
Sometimes.
I gotta keep it mysterious, And you don't have to really wait long for my follow-up, because I was feeling kind of lazy, and the first tab I pulled up for notes today, which I finished 5 minutes before we started recording, was on a guy that I talked about in the Halloween episode. Nice. So enjoy the fruits of my procrastination. Tonight, we will be discussing the wonderfully named Jørgen Jørgensen.
Jørgen.
Although every time I hear, read his name or hear his name, all I can think of is fucking Jørgen von Strangle from Timmy Turner.
But to be fair, every time I hear the word tonight recently, all I can think about is, tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. I don't appreciate that I'm in that rabbit hole, but you said tonight.
Where are you?
Yeah. Exactly.
Where are you?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. So tonight I'm going to be talking about Jørgen Jørgensen. Because, man, I not only did I pull up him as my first research tab, but also his story is so fucking bananas that I feel like it's just, I want to tell it before I forget to.
Gwen Stefani would describe it as
that's fair.
Ananas.
Yes. So Jørgensen was a Danish adventurer in the early to mid 1800s, or as some might call it, the Age of Revolution. Because,
is that what some calling it?
That's what some people call it, the Age of Revolution, as scholars might say. And that's just because everybody do be revolting in Europe and the Americas at this point, which, pin that note, it is important for later. It's a mouse control we'll use later. So, Jørgen was born as the second oldest son to the royal watchmaker of the Danish monarch.
Do you ever think? I'm sorry to interrupt, because we've been doing a fair amount of interrupting tonight. But do you ever think how fucking cool it would be to be so good at something that you become the king's personal watchmaker, or the baron, or the town governor, and it's just this guy's so fucking good at making watches. I have decided that I will buy no other watch but one made by this man.
Yeah.
You're like the anime protagonist of watchmaking.
With pink hair and everything?
Yeah.
Whole shows are made about you. Whole manga series.
Look,
I'm the king's watchmaker.
If they can make an entire anime about a swim team, they can make
it about a watchmaker. You see a cut to him being like, oh no, the spring is broken, and I have to deliver this watch by 2:30, and it's 2:25.
We don't know because the watch is broken. The watch is broken.
Oh God, no! But
I'm sorry. Geez. I'm just thinking it's so fucking cool that people back in the day used to be so good at their job that the king would just be like, "I like you.
They were just I like you. You're mine.
I'm gonna use your products forever."
Yeah. So Jørgen was the second oldest son to the royal watchmaker, whose name was Jørgen Jørgensen.
Of course.
Because of course.
Of course. I am Jørgen, son of Jørgen.
He changed his name from his birth name from Jørgensen to Jorgensen. Because he wanted Jørgen Jørgensen, but his dad was Jørgen Jørgensen.
I'm Jørgen Jørgensen, son of Jørgen Jørgensen.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just bananas. But I don't know how else to say it. I'm a little bit flabbergasted. That's going to be a moment
when Zach edits out of the podcast where we just have minutes of dead air where we're just this guy's name was weird.
It was a second.
It was a second, but it felt like an eternity.
So, at the ripe old age of 15, Jorgen finishes school and becomes the apprentice to Captain Henry Marwood, who was a British sailor in the British Navy. And in 1799, Jorgen and Henry sailed to Cape Town and then Port Jackson, which was the newest cities in the wonderful colony of Australia. And Cape Town and Port Jackson sound pretty familiar from what I talked about in the Halloween episode. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
And so he, like, kind of hangs out in Australia for a bit, and then 1801 rolls around, and Jorgen joins the vessel, the Lady Nelson, where he sails around and basically just founds a bunch of towns in like Australia, including Tasmania and Hobart. So, like, nothing special, just founding a bunch of places. But the wackiness of Jorgen Jorgensen doesn't really ramp up until about 1807. And boy, does it fucking ramp up.
As it often does.
As it often does. It's always like a normal thing until it's just, oh my god, this is not a
That's
normal
literally
thing.
That's the reason for the podcast.
Yeah, right? Oh, this is a normal life. Oh god, no. What have we done? So, in 1807, Jorgen is visiting his family, and he witnesses the Battle of Copenhagen, and is subsequently like, hey, I want to do my part, and is given command of the Danish vessel Admiral Julet. And he uses this vessel to fight the British, the British he once used to work for, because fuck it, why not, if my name isn't Jorgen Jorgensen?
My name isn't...
So, the Admiral Julet starts the naval battle with the HMS Sappho, and it goes really poorly for Jorgen and the Julet, and Jorgen is taken prisoner after the boat is sunk, and he is treated as a privateer by the British government. But since he had kind of good standings with the British, they basically just parole him and brush him off. Like, it's Jorgen being Jorgen, guys. I don't know. What do you want?
Just guys being dudes.
Just guys being dudes.
Just guys being dudes.
And he takes his paroled ass to the... Jorgen takes his paroled ass to the British government and is like, hey, why don't we fill a ship with merchant goods and sail over to Iceland, because they're suffering from food shortages and I'm ready to make hella cash money. I don't know about you.
How'd that go?
Because apparently... well, so that's the thing. Jorgen was Danish. Jorgen was Danish, but he spent so much time in England that he got all about that bread making. And so Jorgen takes his first voyage to Iceland, and it is a total fucking bust, because the Danish have a monopoly on trade to Iceland, and since it's a British merchant ship, they're like, no pip pip cheerio goods in here, mates. Fuck off.
And they're like, that's a little stereotypical, but go on.
Well, so the other thing is, like, at this time, England and Ireland are fighting the Swedes and the Danes at the same fucking time. It's like this it's a two-way war, but with four parties. So, like, the British government and the Danish government are, like, at each other's necks. So I don't know why Jorgen was like, I could pull up in a British ship and sell a bunch of goods, and it'll be okay.
He had confidence.
Like, he had confidence that he was like, I'm Dutch, I'm sailing for the British, but I'm Dutch. They'll let me peddle British goods here, right? No.
Surely.
But undeterred as ever, Jorgen jumps on a second voyage, and once again is turned away. But then he remembers, oh, hey, everyone else has such a fucking hard-on for revolution, so let's go fuck Iceland, everyone.
Hasn't Iceland been through enough?
Well, Jorgen and all of his shipmates go find the governor of Iceland, one Count of Trampe, and Jorgen arrests him, throws him in jail, and declares himself protector of Iceland.
Wow.
He declares himself protector of Iceland when he's going
That's
to
my
fuck
thought
up
too.
Iceland.
Is like, I'm protecting Iceland from me.
From myself. From me.
Yeah.
I am Iceland's biggest threat.
Well, so the whole thing was, so Jorgen declares himself protector of Iceland on the 26th of June, 1809. And his whole thought process was that Iceland was under Danish rule.
Yeah.
It was basically a Danish colony at this point. And so Jorgen was like, I'm going to be protector of Iceland, and as soon as you guys are able to govern yourselves, we'll reinstate Althing, which is the Icelandic national government, like their governing body. Think of our Congress. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I could be totally wrong, but like from my brief research. So he's like, I'll absolutely reinstate a Icelandic government that runs Iceland, but until that happens, I'm running the show, because we can't just like transition from, hi, you're a Danish colony, to you run yourselves. That's not going to go well. Yeah, he basically was like, I'll reinstate Althing as soon as I determine that you can handle governing yourselves. I want to make this like the United States. But we all know how that turned out, so I guess fuck Jorgen, what do you know?
Not much.
However, his protectorate of Iceland does not last long, because on the 22nd of August, 1809, 2 months later, the Danish government comes back and fucking kicks Jorgen out and is like, the fuck, dude? And it once again becomes a Danish colony.
Yeah,
And
classic.
in a moment of weirdness, because I guess even though the Danish are at war with the British, they still feel like doing weird things, they send Jorgen back to England, where he is tried and found guilty of breaking his parole and is jailed immediately.
As he so deserves.
And as he so deserves for deciding that he wanted to run a country himself, after failing to be a good salesman.
I just think it's... I still think that the best part of this story is when he declares himself the protector of Iceland.
Yeah.
That is the best part of this
just-
story. He's just like, I'm going to
He's
fuck up
like-
Iceland.
He's like, I'm just gonna...
I will
protecting
protect
you
you,
from me."
Iceland. I'm protecting you. Why do you make me do
Oh,
this?
Iceland. Why do you make me do this?
Yeah.
Iceland, why do you make
do
me
this,
attack
Iceland?
you?
And
Iceland, you've been sitting here
You're
up in the
tearing
Arctic
me
Circle,
apart, Iceland!
minding your own goddamn business.
Iceland, you're tearing me apart.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. You would think that this is where Jorgensen's story ends, but he's a man of means, and he means
He is
to
a
do
man of
more
means.
terrible things. And so he is let out of jail in 1811 after 3 years of jail time. And he spends most of his time after being released in London, where he basically just gets piss drunk off of his ass and gambles a ton. And he racks up so much debt that it would make the Colonel Tom Parker blush.
Dang.
So, after racking up a bunch of debt and getting a bunch of drunken disorderlies, he once again is thrown in jail, where he doesn't stay for very long, and then he gets out and travels to Spain and Portugal and Gibraltar, and after a little bit of travel, he goes, I'm refreshed. Time to come back to merry old England, where his debtors are waiting for him and throw him right back into jail.
Hey, guys.
My debtors. No.
It's like he comes home to England with his arms open wide, and he goes, "Oh, my debtors!" And they're like, "Hey,
The consequences
Jail
of
for
my
you.
own actions.
Literally, it's like, Jorgen, you can't run away from your problems forever.
he's like, no, but watch me try."
Jorgen, you're not the real protectorate.
Watch me try. However, fortune favors the bold, and Jorgen convinces the British Foreign Office to release him from jail and instate him as a spy in Germany and France during the end of the Napoleonic Wars.
Oh,
This is crazy.
Because why not? Jorgensen witnessed the Battle of Waterloo. He was never involved, but he witnessed
well, he had
it.
popcorn
He had popcorn.
and a front row seat.
Pretty much. He literally was like, I'm just going to watch this thing unfold. He returns to England after his stint as a spy, and writes a bunch of reports and papers and articles, and basically just does a little bit of writing until he is accused of theft in 1820 and is subsequently imprisoned, released, and sent back after he failed to leave England.
I love that this guy's story is literally just like, went to prison, got out, did a little bit of a walkabout, got in a fight with the country, went to prison,
did a bit of a walkabout,
got out, went traveling.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take a break, you know?
So he is accused of theft, and he gets sent to prison, and upon his release, part of a condition of his parole was that he was supposed to leave Britain, and he was just like, nah, man, I like it here, and so they sent him back to prison because he didn't leave.
Nice.
I like it here.
I like
not
it here.
Leaving.
I'm staying. He was supposed to get executed, but instead he had like a fancy ass friend who said, like, no, we're just gonna send him on. Yeah, his friend was like, all right, we're going to send him on transportation as opposed to execution, which, if you're not familiar, sometimes if you were given a sentence of death in England back in colonial times, you would instead be sent to transportation, where you were shipped off to one of the colonies to basically be their fucking problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jorgensen is sent to transportation to Australia, and he is back in Australia by 1825, and he arrives back in Tasmania by 1826. He basically fucks around Tasmania for a little while, helping prevent circulation of forged treasury bills, petitioning, having someone petition for him a ticket of leave so he can actually get off of fucking Australia, and like doing a bunch of exploring around the area. He becomes the constable of Van Diemen's Land for some fucking reason. Like, he was in jail a bunch, and then they made him chief of police for a hot second.
My favorite is when people are in jail for a little bit, but that's like not a horrible consequence.
Yeah, it's like, I went to jail. Who gives a fuck?
They're like, whatever. Yeah, they're just like, this was a minor blip.
Yeah. Jorgensen is pardoned by the British government in 1835, but he's like, fuck it, I'm chilling in Tasmania. I'm gonna stay here. He then married an Irish convict and died.
Because he married an Irish convict?
Classic.
No, he marries an Irish convict, Nora Corbett, in 1831, and then he dies on January 20th, 1841. So he had like 10 years of marriage, but like...
Okay.
He's like, after the pardon, there's not really a lot of notable stuff. He kind of like calms down, writes like 6 fucking books, some of which are true, some of which are basically
classic,
like Procopius method. Procopius the fuck up about his life, and then just dies like 10 years after his marriage. But yeah, Iceland refers to Jorgen as. I'm not going to try to fucking pronounce how this looks, because I'm going to send it to you guys, what they call Jorgen Jorgensen, and you can both be like, on Discord, yeah, and you're both going to be like, yeah, no fucking way you're pronouncing that shit.
Jornder.
Oh my god.
Jornder. Yeah,
there's
like,
so
if you're
many
Dutch
words.
and I said something inappropriate, tell me about it.
Fight
So
me in court.
As far as I can tell, it's Jornder Hunda de Kaga Kondurgadur.
We are getting very close to awakening the little Danish boys.
Oh no, yeah, let's not do that.
No, don't do it.
But yeah, so
don't do this.
It is literally translated to Jorgen the Dog Days King, a reference to like when
Jorgen the Dog Days King.
Yes.
What a banger!
So,
what a banger!
What a banger! The dog days are not over for Jorgen. But yeah, so it's basically like he was the protector of Iceland when Sirius was around, like the dog constellations were in the sky, so they call him the Dog Days King.
That's really cool. Steve will tell us how to pronounce that correctly. If
I
you can
hope
count
so.
on
But
Steve
yeah,
for
so
one
that is-
thing, it's that he'll correct
It's good pronunciation.
our pronunciation. If you can count on him for another thing, it's just being a solid dude.
It's being a good
He's
friend.
just a great guy to be around. If you guys ever get the chance to get a friend like Steve, I hope that you don't pass up that opportunity, because he is just a peach.
You know what? I love that we're saying this as I just look at my phone and see that I have a notification that Steve sent me a meme on Instagram about why Michael Caine and Tim Curry are the best additions to the Muppet cast, and I have to agree with it.
That's true.
I was having a conversation. So Steve decided to delete his Facebook, and so the only way that he keeps in touch is with Instagram and with, like, he has Messenger, but that's because we play D&D and he wants to make sure that he can communicate. And he's like, I was talking to him about the memes that he'll send, and he's like, I try to tailor these to, like, what I think people's interests are. And I just equated that so much to, like, an AI learning how to make conversation. Where he's just like, oh, that meme didn't hit. I'll try a different one. That's just...
Okay, but, like, I can appreciate that because, like, Steve memes are perfectly
They
curated.
are.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
They are. Guys, I will
know.
reiterate. If you can find a friend like Steve, do it. Solid guy. Known him since high school.
10 out of 10.
out of 10. So anyways, I would assume that that's where your story ends.
Yeah, with death, as most stories
stories
do.
With
do.
Steve being the best friend ever.
And because...
My story ends on Steve being the best.
Yeah.
As most stories do.
As most stories do.
Yeah, because the podcast has come to... Or because Zach's story has come to an end, so too must the podcast. Which means that...
For now. For this week.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like...
I still have the mic. I'm
Yeah,
keeping
Zach's
it. I won't
holding
let you
on
like
to it.
worry
I'm
about
not
me cutting
building
you
up
off.
any momentum here. The days of Zach interrupting me during my ending shtick are over.
Yes. Well, tonight we thank you very much for joining us on our dumb as shit fun time that we have talking about dumb as shit people in history, or spooky things, or creepy things. It depends on our mood. But anyway, we appreciate you listening. And if you like listening to us, tell a friend that you also think would like listening to us. It is a really easy and really free way for us to continue doing this because, well, the more support we get, the better it is for us. The more we get recognized, and that's just makes our lives so much better and like makes doing this. The more the merrier. We really enjoy doing this, and we want as many people as possible to listen to it because we like the dumb things we have to say, and we hope you do too. But if you do want to support us monetarily, we'd appreciate it. We do have a Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/Triumvirate Productions. You can support us on a $3, $5, or $10 level, each one kind of having their own little bit of goodies equated to them. If you don't have money and you have already told all of your friends and they're sick of hearing about the three idiots that you listen to every Friday or every other Friday, get more friends. Expand your social circle. It's important. But also, you can head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and review. If new ratings and reviews pop up, sometimes we like to read them on air because we appreciate hearing about what you have to say. And the other thing you do is follow us on our socials. You can find us on Facebook by looking the Triumvirate Productions up. You can also find us on Instagram at _Triumvirate_Productions. And yeah, send us a message. Talk to us. Hang out with us. Enjoy the show. I don't know. We're just here to have fun.
The enjoy the show is not an I don't know. Definitely enjoy the show.
That's true. Definitely enjoy it. Like, if you're not enjoying it, like, why are you still here? What are you doing?
What are you even doing here?
Okay, so with Zach's spiel coming to an end, as it so often does, it leads directly into my thing, which is where I talk to you for a matter of seconds and do some corny bit about how I have notes, or, I have a thing to say, or I'll go, look over there. What's that? It's coming toward us so fast. It's, what the fuck, history?
I loved that.
3,
Wait, I'm not on Audacity.
1. What?
Alright, now comes.
Alright, 3, 2, 1.